When you're playing Chopin's Etude Opus 25 number 3, you're going to have to be willing to let your hands find some pretty weird positions, and they're not just going to be stretched out flat, and they're not going to be just your nice little 5 fingers right there on the keys. You're going to have to find every single position and let go the note that you just played so that you can get to the note that you need to be at. You'll need to experiment with left-hand fingerings for the pivot notes. I find that 4 usually feels better. It might be tempting to use 5, especially when you have a large interval like a 7th, but that doesn't work because you need the 8th note pair to be one gesture. And you have to rotate down to the bass. So the left hand has to keep rotating down to the bass, and the right hand has to do a lot of rotating too. Both hands you really have to let your thumbs go. And you'll see that if you let your thumbs go and let the hand close like it really needs to for this turning, you're going to end up a lot of times with your hands in a position I like to call the one-eared llama. The one-eared llama is a hand position that might seem sort of strange, but can actually be really, really useful and helpful. So if you imagine that your hand and your arm are a llama, here's two-eared llama, hello, with this being the body, and this being the neck, and this being the head, ears, nose, mouth. The distance between the ear and the nose is actually really far, and if you let your hand close, it can help you find the shape that you need. So just to really show you the difference between what's possible with a flat hand stretching and what's possible with a one-eared llama, this is about as far as I can stretch my 4th finger and 5th finger apart. And it doesn't feel great, and it's not that far. So if I take this distance, and then I turn my other hand into a one-eared llama, look at how much farther I can reach between 5 and 4. And of course it's true in both hands. So the one-eared llama reminds us that we are 3-dimensional creatures, and that we're going to sometimes need strange hand positions that are not just your typical 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position, but that you can find the comfortable position that will let you get to where you need to go. So the idea of llama shows that we can close, but you might even find that your thumbs go up. And that works great too, as long as you're letting go of the thumbs and turning. It doesn't matter if your thumbs go up in the air or with the same team with everybody else. You need to be turning, 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 instead of holding it open. It's much easier to turn. One nice way of practicing this llama gesture is if you look at the beginning where the right hand has that 8th note octave, you can actually pretend that it's a 16th just like the left hand. And you can lift up the thumbs at the same time. And that can really help you get the thumbs out of the way. So you might be able to get away with stretching to some of the positions in the left hand, and the right hand too, but the llama really, really becomes necessary when you've got some of these extravagantly large leaps, like in measure 19 to 20. For example, the left hand has this is the last beat of 19. Goes from an E flat down to an E flat. But it's reaching a 7th. Now I could maybe, not very happily, but maybe reach this with a 1 and 3, but then my 2nd finger is really far from that B flat. That's a miserable state of it's just miserable. I don't want to do that. But if I use 4, and I have my hand in this kind of pre-llama, right, like ready to close gesture, and here, I go to the 2, and then the 4 and the 2 are together closing, and it lets me turn down to the 5. That can really work. And then we need to do that in measure 22 in the right hand, where I have this. If I try to stretch from the 2 to the 5 with everybody flat, it feels really far. But if I let the hand close to llama, it's easier. This isn't full llama, it's just the possibility of llama. Basically, every single spot in this piece where you're trying to find a comfortable hand position, it's likely that either llama or possibility of llama will help you instead of a flat hand. At the end, you can play those octave Cs with the left hand. So you just do the trill on 3 and 2 in the right hand. So I hope that helps, and remember to rotate. Enjoy Opus 25 number 3, and let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.